Imagine becoming a father and realizing that the life you're building isn't the life you want your daughter to grow up watching. That was my new podcast guest, Ivan Kotterbach's reality. A decade into his corporate career with a newborn at home, he made a terrifying decision. Shortly after his daughter's birth, he quit his job. No backup plan, no safety net, just a deep conviction that he needed to build something different, something true to himself. 2 years later, Ivan is juggling multiple businesses, but his biggest challenge isn't money, it's focus. Because at some point, every entrepreneur needs to ask, am I actually building a life with purpose that serves me? Or am I just repeating someone else's script? Building with purpose and staying centered when everything around you feels urgent. So let's just dive into it. I'm really excited about this interview because we had an amazing connection, and I want you to pay attention to how he handles all of these pressures and still gets out winning on the other side. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nomad CEO, and I am here today with Ivan Kotterbach, a young entrepreneur who has been working in the corporate world for a long time and sort of left everything behind to become an entrepreneur, basically. And he's got several business going on, e-commerce, and also a marketing agency. So this is going to be interesting, because when you do that, when you become an entrepreneur, there's always a ton of challenges. And so my first question is, of course, always in this podcast, what was your pivotal moment? What was your transformation, your breaking point? And what, can you please share your story, Ivan? And again, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, Roman, thank you so much for having me. So my story is definitely a little all over the place, but I'll kind of start about 2 years ago. So I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary of leaving the corporate world behind. And really the pivotal moment for me that was just transformational was my daughter being born. And actually, while my wife was pregnant and we were pregnant with our daughter 2 years ago, I was started to think about new ways I could create the life that basically I didn't really see a model of, right? You know, I had been told to, you go to school, you go get a job, you work at a company and you stay there, and then you just keep, moving up the ladder there. And I had done that for 10 plus years and it wasn't working out for me. So when my wife was pregnant on paternity leave for about 3 months, I just started exploring new ideas and started tinkering with different things that I was already good at. And ultimately, when my daughter was born and then I got back from paternity leave, I decided, what? It's time for a change. There's no better time to make a change than now, because I'm just going to make some other excuse later on down the line. And so, my daughter being born was the reason, kind of the impetus of breaking away from the corporate world and starting my own solopreneur entrepreneur journey.
Okay. So this is strange because today you're actually the second guest who has sort of this family situation, married, kids, young daughter, and then the other guy had 2 boys, I think, but doesn't matter. I mean, still, what I'm trying to tell you, or say here, is that in 2025, it's already rare to have a relationship. There's so many young guys who don't have a relationship, and now this family is actually something really valuable and immensely valuable. I think it has lost a lot of, let's say, let's call it, I don't know. It's just the nuclear family is sort of under attack. And so when I hear the story about, because obviously when you have a daughter, then the priorities totally shift. It's not about you anymore. Now it's about how can I create a life worth living for her, for my offspring, rather than me, right?
Right.
And then, but I imagine that must have been scary because also there's this security element you're then sort of letting go. The corporate world, can be shitty. I know it is. For me, it was never. I've been in the corporate world only for like 2 years so I immigrated to Mexico, and then there's this huge company, the German company Siemens, where I did 2 years corporate, like my internship or whatever that was, and then after that I pretty much, after I've become an entrepreneur, never ceased to be one. It's because it sucks. I mean, corporate life is really not I don't know how someone
Totally.
survives even if you make a ton of money, it's still depressing. I don't know. But yeah, so, and now what is your biggest challenge now? I mean, since you're 2 years in as an entrepreneur, have you had any experience before that with entrepreneurship, or was that like your first try attempt?
Yeah, it was my first try. I mean, I've always had like that entrepreneurship bug. Like I always wanted to start something. I honestly didn't really know like that I could start something, right? Again, I think we're just kind of told to go into this mold and just
Why
keep
not?
going down the same path. I don't know. I mean, I think there's just not a lot of models for it, right? Like my dad, he busted his butt working, and he kind of stayed with companies. My mom was a teacher, and everyone that was around me was going that same path. So I didn't really have a model for that, but I've always had that entrepreneurship bug. But this was my first go at it. And to answer your question, my biggest challenge right now, I would say, is staying focused, because I have a lot of different income streams. I have a lot of different areas that I have that are interesting, which is a great problem to have. And you also need to stay really focused on moving the ball and moving the needle forward on the things that are actually going to, generate more income or have more opportunity for expansion, or satisfy that itch that you're trying to get, or build the life you want to build, right? So I think my biggest challenge right now is like focusing, right? I've got a few different businesses that I operate, so focusing my time and attention on the things that really matter and the things that are ultimately bringing the life that I want, because that was the reason why I did this. So
Yeah, you're right about this. This is actually one of the most, I think, important aspects of entrepreneurship, and it's entrepreneurs often fuck up that part of the equation because they don't know. They think they're doing, because there's this famous book, Stephen Covey, with the stuff that seems to be urgent and important, but it's not urgent, and it might not even be important. And so to be able to distinguish and to prioritize the stuff that you ought to do, what you should do, and what you should not pay attention to, because when you're in the midst of like trying, as you say, right, moving the needle forward, and then there's a ton of things that call your attention, and then that it's really hard. There's one guy in the U.S. I admire. He's already passed away. His name is or was Al Rees. Actually, not far away from where you live. He's from, not from Florida, from Atlanta, from Georgia. And with my first company, he wrote a bunch of books. Very. He's like a marketing guru called Focus Marketing Guru. And he still his daughter Laura Rees. She's still in the game. She's still doing this. She's also author. And back then, we had also, with my prior company, we had a problem. We had this problem that we had a product that was just too versatile. So it was a nano coating material. It could be applied on anything, like a nano ultra thin nano coating for surface protection. And that it was like this magical product we thought would basically solve everything in so many industries. And that was exactly the problem, because it was so broad, it was impossible to fucking nail down a marketing message that would resonate with one target client, right? And so my problem was we hired that. I went to I remember went to Atlanta, and we had this strategy session in the basement of Al Rees, and he was like sort of trying to sort out a new strategy for my product, and he came up with a few ideas, and so paid $8,000 for fucking 4 hours. Yeah, and never forget that one. So yeah, focus is important. Even, I mean, it's just everything. Usually it's actually the case that when you run different businesses, often it's the case that it's better to just focus on one. I mean, unless you have like already the infrastructure to maintain, you have like the super crystal clear key performance indicators, and someone is taking care of all of that shit. But if you have like, if you're not new in the game and you want to do like moving different things at the same time, not very, I think it's a problem unless your systems are bulletproof.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's the problem that I'm solving right now, because certain focuses, bring in, less money, certain focuses bring in more money, and certain focuses give me more time, give me less time. And so, but also, certain focuses light me up in certain ways, right? Like the pickleball brand, for instance, Canyon Pickleball is really kind of like a brain Yeah, so that's like really a brainchild of mine, with the explosion of pickleball here in the United States. And so it's a really big passion project, and it's, not really bringing any money in for us. I mean, it's a self-sustainable business. It's covering our inventory. It's covering our ad spend. We're making good sales, but it's not really bringing any money in, but it is, something that really lights me up. So it's focusing that time and attention on, again, the reason why we're doing any of this is to build the life we want, right? So whatever that life looks like for you, continue going down the path of the things that build the life that you want. So that's where I'm really, like you said, trying to focus my attention.
Okay. So the challenge for you is that you're aware that some of those businesses aren't really money making, but you do those things because you enjoy it.
Totally.
Which is valid. So in that case, why not? If you didn't enjoy it, then I would say, okay, that's stupid. But if you enjoy it,
right.
It's not a bad choice necessarily, right? And what are the five let's say biggest problems you're solving right now for your clients?
Yeah, so I guess which business should I focus on?
Are you
let's just
in different industries, or are you just focusing on one?
It is kind of in one general industry, which I would say like within marketing, right? Like my e-commerce business is, a big marketing challenge. And then I have a marketing agency, which obviously is marketing. And then I also work for another client to do marketing. So I have a retainer with him. So there's a number of challenges. So I would say let's just focus in on marketing. So from a marketing lens, the biggest problems that we're solving right now, and the biggest things that we're really, working to solve, I would say is number one, like you said, like being like super, super focused to the right audience and not trying to speak to everyone. And I think the biggest piece with that, like you said, is like really digging deep into the research of our clientele, right? Really understanding like that audience super, super well. So when we are going to market with messaging, when we are really getting in the weeds with ads or, social components and stuff, like really speaking to them. So whatever the client is, like that's like what you said, Roman, is number one, right? Like really not being broad here and being really target specific. So I would say that's like one of the biggest focuses for us, and an area that we're really solving, because the product that we have with the pickleball brand, and also just in general, the products that we're working with within the agency and everything, is really helpful for that particular audience. So again, it's being hyper specific for that. Another area that I would say like that we're really solving right now is, and especially within like my agency side, like I am a big believer in AI. I love AI. I think people that are not leveraging AI and understanding that if you're afraid of AI,
do they still exist? Are there people in marketing that still do not use AI? I don't think they exist.
Well, so what I think it is not necessarily that they don't use AI. I think they're either using AI incorrectly, right? They're not using it to its full capacity, or they're using it in an area that's not necessarily complementary to like what they focus on. So for instance, if you're a copywriter, right? I think people that are copywriters, the best copywriters are understanding how to use AI as like a tool, not as like, a situation where they're just relying on it heavily. So I would say in my experience in working with clients is, you'd be surprised how many people that are not in the marketing world that just come to us and say, hey, I need marketing and I need to like build out a funnel, right? And they are not understanding the best ways to leverage AI. So from our side, like I'm on the cutting edge of everything that's working in AI and things that are working, things that aren't working, trying different things out. So creating more automations and systemations, really be able to drive forward for our clients. So I think AI is like a massive piece that I still don't believe people are using, a lot of our clients, at least, in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, AI is such a game changer. And by the way, I'm interested in what you're doing because I'm also building my marketing agency.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but this is something that. So I started. Let me just share this with my company background, with my first company, which went bankrupt during the pandemic. After that, I had like 2 years of like shiny object syndrome. Didn't really was lost. Didn't really know what I was doing. Trying to monetize my photography, but completely failed with that. And then tried some e-commerce and drop shipping and hotel photography, and it was all complete garbage. And then I started to started my newsletter, sort of getting my shit together and trying to let go of my trauma, which is, it was a pretty fucking traumatic event when that happened, because it was 14 years with the company, and started to do my newsletter. And then after doing that for a few months, I started to, so I understood that I had to learn writing, right? So copywriting, like, because that's an essential part for a newsletter, right? So I had to learn the craft of copywriting. And then by doing that, I found out that I never ceased to be an entrepreneur, right? Because that kind of got lost when that happened. I thought I lost my identity as a CEO. I always thought of myself, oh, I'm the CEO and it's cool, whatever. I mean, that shit went, when it crashed and burned, then that was gone. And I was really, but I really discovered that it's not going to go away. I'm just going to be that entrepreneur. I just failed. Now you try something else, right? And then focusing on founders. And then I started to do like consultations and strategy sessions with other founders, trying to help other guys, other founders and other entrepreneurs. And then through AI, I discovered something super powerful, which was that those same conversations, when basically what we're doing right now. So you and I, we're having this conversation. I ask you, hey, how do you solve your client problems? And what's your mission? What's your vision? What's the stuff that keeps you awake at night? And what were your like personal stories? How did you end up and what was your worst? All this personal stuff, actually. That is a huge component of being an entrepreneur, because when you don't have your personal shit, a lot of people think that these like failures are me included. I sort of try to bury that in the back of my mind, didn't want to remember. But it's actually gold. It's really golden, because that's where the gold is in these stories, because people connect with other people when you have a great story to share. And it's also where all these lessons and the wisdom comes from. And so when I realized that, then talking to these people, then AI helped me to. I took another course it's called PGA, Premium Ghostwriting Agency. I did. And so I learned how to build like a framework for educational email courses. And then with the story that AI, through note takers, these modern note takers, Fathom and Firefly is the other one is really good. With the transcript, boy, you can do like, it's like use the same transcript, and then you put together such a powerful piece of content, which is a lead magnet at the end of the day. And then you funnel that into a newsletter, and here you go, we have a business, because everyone needs an audience today, and everyone needs, basically every person, every entrepreneur who's a founder actually needs a newsletter. And so now I'm building newsletters, and I found out that this is super powerful because the new newsletter platforms, I don't know if you know those, but ConvertKit and Beehive and other stuff, they're really powerful.
That's what I use for mine.
Which one, Beehive or Kit?
No, I use Kit.
You use Kit. I'm a Beehive guy, and so that's what I'm doing now. That's why I started this podcast too, because first of all, I love to get to talk to interesting people and learn from them, because there's a lot of things I don't know, which is by itself already. I don't need more. That's actually valuable in itself already, and it's just it doesn't even feel like work. But also that profile of people that comes to before I had to do outreach. Now they come to me, and then also like my own, it's like a funnel, and it's also at the same time I can help other guys to really make an impact with their content. And additional to that, I do lead generation, like, because they're not patient. Building newsletter takes time, which is a marketing thing, but it takes time because it's a long-term thing. But you can write one every week and then start posting on social media and promoting it, but it's still gonna take time. Even if you put some ads behind it, it's still gonna take time. And so what I do is I also do lead generation, like cold outreach through AI automations that allow me to book them appointments pretty fast, so they're patient and they wait for the other stuff going. That's my strategy.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. The newsletter side is a piece that I've been experimenting with, and I've been doing consistently now for about 3 months. So I pretty new within the newsletter game. My background was as a copywriter, so I at least had that going for me, so that was helpful. But it is a long-tailed thing, and it's funny too, because I think in the newsletter game specifically, like you said, the stories are really what connect the most. And yeah. I've been using the same thing, right? I've been messing with some AI tools to really help from a transcription standpoint, and really just be able to speak those words, and to really, because at the end of the day, right, like we all have those ideas. It's just like, how can I get them out of here in my brain and onto the paper?
Well, yeah. So, and then, let's continue talking about AI tools. So once you have this transcript, which is because when they express themselves, they use specific words. Everyone has its own vocabulary. We have certain, we have a nuanced way of saying things based on our experience, life experience, and I don't know. It's just, if you listen, actually, there's a lot of things that are very unique to each person, and so you can get that from those transcripts. So if you show a product that comes out of that other person thinks you fucking read their mind. It's just really, this is something that's so powerful, I think. And I don't know how many people, I mean, I guess a lot of people do this already, but it's really powerful. And then the other AI tools that for me most helpful are like, I don't use paper, I use Notion. Notion is like this super
Same. Yep.
hub. I love Notion. I build everything. When I get a new client, I build a new dashboard for them before I even start working. I don't care if it takes me a day, but the personalization you can do there, and then it's just have had really good experience with that, and so I'm just I love it. And so also Notion is also very compatible with other tools, right? So you can automate a ton of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
What other favorite tools you have?
Yeah, so I've recently been starting with more Zapier stuff too, and so building different Zaps and stuff. I don't know if you've used Zapier much.
I hate Zapier.
You don't like it?
No.
Yeah, why not?
Because they're there's this super expensive tool. It's a tool that's they charge for everything. It's super expensive shit. I mean,
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like there's better tools. I mean, well, sometimes there's no workaround other than maybe make.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, and I'm still pretty new in like whether or not I enjoy Zapier a ton. It does get expensive, and I think that's a big piece too. You talked about in those 2 years kind of having shiny object syndrome. That's also an area of focus that I'm having right now within AI is like, I love to try the new AI tools, right? Especially as a writer, right? I'll mess with Claude, I'll mess with ChatGPT. Obviously, there's a lot of different chat bots and things that I'm using. But again, shiny object syndrome, right? Like I can't tell you the amount of free trials that I've used for, all these different AI tools, and I'm using a different email address and a different.
Yeah, and then the free trial is over and you get charged. No, I didn't want to do this, and give me a refund.
Yeah. So it is one of those things. I think, again, in general, being an entrepreneur and being a solopreneur, or whatever you want to call it, is you have to be so curious, because I think things do change so fast, and not just in AI, but especially with AI, right? They change so fast. You got to just be curious and be like, okay, I'll try that out, right? I'll see what that's like.
Yeah, because you know what? Every other I don't know, month or so, there's some fucking amazing new tool that's actually a game changer. I can really do some extraordinary stuff, right? So, for example, Notion. I never used Notion built-in AI. Notion, the add-on. The Notion AI add-on. Have you tried that one? I didn't really do this before. I haven't tried. I did
not a ton.
I just started like last month, and it's actually pretty good because it's actually the stuff you already, because otherwise you have to export to ChatGPT and then bring it in again. But Notion, you can just highlight the stuff you want to change. It's pretty useful. It could be.
Yeah. The one tool that I'm really excited about, and I'm really curious to try. I have not tried it yet. I actually just got an email to my inbox about the beta version for it, and it's the Canva Code AI. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, so Canva, and I know probably a lot of people listening use Canva, and if you're in e-commerce, or if you're just using it for different graphics and stuff. I love Canva. I think Canva in combination with ChatGPT is great, especially with their new image generator, taking an image from ChatGPT and then editing it in Canva and adjusting it, etc. But Canva's coming out with a code AI where basically you can literally prompt, I want to build an e-commerce store that does this, or I want to build a calculator that's going to mimic the Zillow mortgage calculator, and it'll basically code this out for you. But again, because Canva is Canva and they put kind of graphics first, their outputs of these products and these websites that it's building are really elaborate and very detailed and very editable.
Tried that one. I have Canva too.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet either. Look in your inbox. I think the beta either is just closing or is just opening, but I just got an email about it recently. So yeah, I want to try it.
One that I just discovered that's also, I was really surprised by the results or what the output it's producing is pixels AI, which is a tool for thumbnails only. You can upload you say you take a bunch of photos of yourself, right? You have you need to give it like 10 photos or 15, and then you just sort of give it a prompt, and then you describe the situation, and then you can have a few. I could show you, but well, I was surprised by the quality of the output. I look much better than on that photo than I look in reality.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I've got this is it's actually a solution to my thumbnail problem, because packaging is important, right? And so a lot of my YouTube videos, they just sucked because my fucking thumbnail was terrible. And so now I have also the same tool solving another problem, because I'm interviewing people like you. So, for example, you could just because when we're done with the podcast in a few weeks, when I put this together, I write an article, then you're gonna I make an article about you in that newsletter, and then I have a thumbnail with that tool. I can use something. If you send me one good photo of you, I can swap you into this thumbnail, face swap, and then
Nice.
we have really cool.
How much is
thumbnail.
it?
It's $40 a month. It's pretty expensive, but it is good. I mean, the quality is really. I haven't seen anything like it. I mean, and I tried. I mean, by the way, the new ChatGPT 4.0 generator, such a fucking, I mean, just was playing around with this. I didn't really know that it improved that much, like just a few
It's
days
wild.
ago. It's wild. I mean, I just updated my newsletter background because of that. Amazing, man. So it's really good.
For my e-commerce brand, specifically for the pickleball brand, we have been messing with it for model generation for like influencers and things, and basically, creating the pickleball paddle in a UGC ad basically. And I mean, the detail on these people, and their hands are perfect, their eyes are perfect, their teeth are perfect, and it's just like, this is wild. I mean, it is wild.
Yeah, and the letters are not fucked anymore.
Yeah, that was always the thing. I'm like, write the word tomato, and it writes, 20 T's in a row, right?
Yeah, it's accurate. It doesn't make any mistakes anymore. I tried a bunch of different photos, and it takes it's a little bit. It takes time, but they are spot on. I mean, the letters are always good and impressive stuff, man. I mean, with this technology. So I don't know what. So are photographers and graphic designer even needed anymore?
Well, that's what I'm curious to see, because I mean, everyone kind of said that with, copywriters, right? Again, like my background was in copywriting. Alive. Yeah. I'm still alive, right? I'm still writing a great newsletter. And so I think again, this goes back to AI is only going to make, mediocre jobs go away, but the people who are really good at their job are going to use it and are going to get so much better, right? Like, for instance, like I imagine, so like we have a graphic designer they're not on retainer, but we pretty much pay them case by case. And our designer, I'm imagining, is probably using AI in a sense that like, okay, from like a conceptual standpoint, like building this out, and then maybe they use ChatGPT to create a design, they go into Photoshop, they edit it, they tweak it, they add their own flair to it, right? They adjust it. So again, I think it's just working in tandem with AI more and more, because at the end of the day, like, AI is still producing things that in some way kind of have been produced before in a lot of ways, right? So I think that that's going to be an area where to see how designers can interact with AI. So I think it's eliminating mediocre positions, which again, that is something. But I think if you're a mediocre writer or a mediocre designer, well, then either, learn and practice to get better, or, you might have to go a different path. And that's unfortunate, but that's kind of the nature of what's happening right now.
Yes. I think it's also another element we tend to forget about how business actually works, which is that clients, I include myself in this, even though I could. So for example, I'm setting up my new website, and I could have, I mean, there's a ton of tools, again, like bold.new. There's literally, you can just did you try Manus AI?
No, I haven't tried it. No, not yet.
Mind-boggling. It just does all of it. It's just you can tell it, make a website that makes this and does this and this and this and this, and then you wait 5 minutes and you have it with all the functions. So, but what I'm trying to say here is that by the way, it's only by invite. So I had a chance I've got an invitation, so but it's pretty expensive. But what I wanted to say about business is that we still want to get the attention from someone who's taking the responsibility to deliver, You know what I mean? So there's, and unless there is just a button where you get it served and like ordering something from Amazon, I don't know. A lot of the things that, because at the end of the day, it's a service, right? Whether that is a logo you need, or you need a website, or someone who takes care to, because business is only possible if two persons interact, right? So for example, for us, you as a marketer, and you want to build, you're building an agency, it means that you still need to connect these people, right? So someone needs to want to buy, another one needs to want to sell, and then you have to create those situations and talk to another. People still need to talk to people. This is not going to go away anytime soon. And so there's jobs that are, and that involves a lot of things, right? Because people are different. Everyone is different. And so I think the safest path is probably in 2025, my estimation. Maybe I'm wrong, but keep doing, like, creating stuff, like creator's not going to go away, like publish stuff, and trying the business, the marketing side of things, like getting leads, it's not going to go away. It's going to be easier with these new tools, but you still need to deliver, right? So, and you still need to do the and prioritize and understand what the guy need right now, what they need. And so it requires someone operating these systems. So
Totally.
we're probably able to, what I'm doing is, I come from my company, I had almost 100 employees with my first company. When I went bankrupt, I had to lay off 80. And I'm not going to do that again. I'm just going to do, right now I can probably do a lot of things with I have a VA from Jakarta, and I just hired a freelance writer because I don't want to do the writing for every newsletter. And so, and also that I'm fucking sick and tired of the post of writing so many tweets. And so yeah, but you can do a lot more with a lot less people, which is
Totally,
I think, pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing too, like what you had said a little bit ago, was there's like that human element and that connection element that, like you said, like certain personalities work well. And like at the end of the day, what I tell people who use AI, again, and like when I have someone who's like very green on AI, right, doesn't really understand it, doesn't really know how to use it, is I tell them, especially if they're a business, I'm like, AI in whatever you use, it's only as good as like what you give it, right? What you give it and how, you know, detailed your prompts are, right? If you're using a chatbot, for instance, and the last thing you want is to be generic, because you're going to get a generic output, and likely someone else is getting a very similar generic output. And the last thing you want is for you to build something that looks exactly like something else that someone else did. So I still think that like having a good designer, right? Like you said, having a good writer, because again, like good writers know good copy, right? Good designers know good designs, right? Just because something came out from ChatGPT and you're like, man, this looks great, and I sent it to my designer, the designer's like, actually, this would not look well because it's super saturated here, it's really blah, blah, blah here, and I don't know that. I'm not a designer, right? So that is an area where like I still want that human element to like bounce ideas off of and still be able to just have a conversation with. Yeah, I think it's still gonna be that human element.
Yes, especially as a last control, quality control element, maybe, you know, because I'm gonna admit something here. Sometimes when things go to you just, usually guys, in terms of copywriting, it's just outlining new ideas, proofreading, like stress testing ideas. It's also great for that. Like you can ask it different AIs, you ask it different angles and perspectives. You shouldn't write the whole piece with it, right? It should absolutely not happen, right? But can happen. And so when you can, what I do is switch around from different, like Claude is supposedly a little bit higher quality in writing. And then I think Grok 3 is also pretty solid. It's also, especially if you want to, I use Grok 3 for researching topics and not topics, sorry, sources. Like, so because when you ask them for sources, they often come up with broken links and they don't really find it's like, I don't know. And Grok 3, the new, seems to me to be the most reliable, and it comes up with a cool deep search. So that's helpful, especially since I'm building these courses, because I need sources. I need it for credibility, you know. And so yeah. But what I'm trying to say here is that when it spits out, let's say if you jumped or did a shortcut here, you can still quality check. You can still go over and then humanize the whole thing, right? It's also possible, and then just take away. But one of the things that are like where you immediately know that this is written by AI is where these dash, like every second.
Yeah, I forget what that dash is called. Yeah, I forget what it's called, but I agree, because they put those everywhere. And same thing with
everywhere.
Colons too. Like they use colons a lot or ellipses a lot, and so just knowing like. Yeah.
You just remove that and it also already looks more human, right? So that
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like just put a comma there. Just put a comma.
Yeah, or sometimes just end the sentence, yeah, and make a
Yeah,
new
just
one, right? Because there's this. So I took this course with since you're copyright, Nicholas Cole.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I follow him on LinkedIn.
yeah, he's pretty well known in the copywriting space. He's yeah, he made a fortune already. I guess he's got a few newsletters that are in the six figures, like Write with AI. One of his newsletters called Write with AI. He's got the PGA, that the one I took, this premium ghostwriting agency academy. It's like a 7K school program where you can and where they basically teach you how to do these 5-day educational email courses. The ones I use now for my clients, but they're really powerful. That's really good stuff. It's like a lead magnet, but instead of just dumping a fucking PDF on people's head, you give them like this walkthrough, really cool framework of,
Cool.
yeah. So
Interactive almost.
yeah, yeah, very interactive, and also it's seamlessly built. You can build that into automated sequence on Kit or on Beehive, and then build your list with that, and it's pretty awesome. And so this guy, one of the things he teaches in copywriting is that the way you capture attention, or a very easy way to improve your writing is just, he uses this he calls it 1-3-1 rhythm, which is one sentence. You open with a provocative or some, I don't know, maybe outrageous sentence or whatever, and then you make a space, and then you follow by three sentences in one paragraph, maybe 3 to 5 sentences, and then you space, and then you wrap it up with another finish, like one, and you just repeat that all the time, and this is how you can get a lot more. It's more skimmable, especially in the newsletters. So he's got a ton of really cool writing tips,
Yeah.
and his partner Dickie Bush is also big player in that space. So yeah, those.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff too. And I think those are areas too that, again, at the end of the day, like, if you don't know, you can't ask AI like, oh, like what's the natural reading path for a human's eye? So when I'm writing, I need to know, because again, like these are little tips and tricks, again, that only come from people with it, like that have done it and have experience as good writers. And so, yeah, I love that too. The 1-3-1, I've used that. And also, I forget who it was. Maybe it was like Nick Shackelford that maybe mentioned this. There was someone that mentioned this that was like, again, the natural path of our eyes and how they read. We like to read across, obviously, and then we like to kind of come back down at an angle. So if there's opportunities, again, for shorter sentences and it kind of comes back down, our eyes naturally go in like a wave. It's come back down, and then we come back over, and then we come back down. It almost like looks like a wave going back and forth. So you don't want like all your sentences to end the same length, right? Where it's just like bop, 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 bop. You want like this one's longer, then shorter, then shorter, then shorter, and then
Yes.
a little bit bigger, and then shorter, 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 right? So it's like that's the natural path of our eyes. So it's like those little tips and tricks, again, like I'm a full believer in mentorship and coaching programs and all of that,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of gurus out there that are not, ethical, but there's so many good creators out there that just have expertise that I want, and so I'm very willing to pay for it.
Yes. Yes, that's why I paid for this in the story I shared with you before. This is why I ended up paying so much money for a 4-hour consultation with that guy, because, well, first of all, my problem was that big. I had a really big pain point here that was bothering me with that. So it didn't really seem too much. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's just this experience is something that, I mean, people that have walked the walk and can share their expertise if they do it in a. I mean, we all have been scammed too, right? But you can tell when someone is honest and is straightforward, and so. But to just add one more point to that previous discussion about tips for writing, there's another one which I really liked. Was also surprising because I did not know this before. I learned this from him, which is that you can, to improve writing, a tip is almost eliminate the use of adverbs, like the words, and simplify the simplify the language, like use simpler words. Just that, you just try to not use terms that are complicated, like just reduce the complexity of your sentence. And then mostly, for example, it's not a good word, adverbs should be
Yeah.
eliminated almost in written language and replaced by active instead of passive and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's a massive area that I love using Claude and ChatGPT for is like, oh, hey, like rewrite this blurb, but I want it at a third grade reading level because again, third grade reading level is where most people are at in the United States, and
Depressing.
yeah, and so I'm always like, okay, rewrite this at a third grade reading level, right? I want this to be as simple as possible, right? And it's crazy too because, like you said, again, we're going down a rabbit hole that I love because, again, as a copywriter, I love this stuff. But simple words, right? Like I was using the word recently in the newsletter. I used the word determination. And I was like, ooh, that's a little bit of a big word. Like I shouldn't use determination. And so I I forget what I changed it out with, but it's just you start realizing that you are a lot of times, especially on LinkedIn too, right? Like sometimes we'll say a word that it comes off in our vernacular and our vocabulary so simply, but it's like it's not a word that should be used because it's going to interrupt the flow and the pattern of someone who maybe is like trying to decipher what that means. So even if it feels very simple.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, in your case, this is your mother tongue. I'm not even native English speaker. I learned English in school. So for me, it was actually a challenge to become good at writing. And I'm probably
I bet.
not even that good because I'm still lacking vocabulary. Vocabulary is actually my weak spot. Well, no, yes and no, but it's
I mean, honestly, I feel like it might even be a big benefit because you're able to come through and you're able to, just write what you know and write like how, you would go through the thought process of speaking English. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like you actually, might have a little more of an advantage in some capacity too.
really why is that? Tell me how.
I mean, if you said that you're struggling with even like some vocabulary, right? I think the words that you would use like in most scenarios. And so, I mean, I sometimes feel like I'm using vocabulary that I would use in my day-to-day, but the vocabulary I'm using is not vocabulary that most people would use. And it's not in any way like I'm trying to have an ego about it. It's just like a word that I would use, right? Like, I'm trying to think of an example that I used again recently. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I've been struggling with that right now because in my newsletter specifically, I feel like I have not been just like simplifying my language.
Yeah. So it's also anyway. It's I don't think it's that the vocabulary side of things is not even the problem. I think writing is more like the difficulty of writing comes from it's sort of structuring ideas in a way that makes sense. So you have to sort of anticipate what people would think when they like how they
That's fair.
it's like a salesman that needs to anticipate an objection, right? So you need to know what makes sense in this moment, and then so this
Yeah,
is
that's
it's
fair.
more of yeah. The words are can be replaced and can be simply yeah. I don't know. So but by doing it, we get better. So every week there is a new opportunity for a better newsletter. There's
Totally.
yeah, I'm at 71, 72 with you right now. 72 editions. What is the topic of your newsletter?
So, yeah, so the newsletter is called The Honest Hustle. And basically, it's just all about building businesses. I say the word ethically, but mostly I mean like with purpose. So, people that, like my audience specifically, is people that are in a 9 to 5 who are looking to build like a side hustle, looking to build a side project, but aren't really sure where to start. But they also don't want to basically sell their soul to do it. And I think that's a big area that I always felt like I was selling my soul to work in the corporate world. When I created The Honest Hustle and I created this newsletter, it's about building business with purpose, building a side hustle with purpose, and really giving you actionable tools, right? Using AI to start the process of building some sort of side business. And whether it becomes your main hustle, great. Or if it's just a side business to earn some extra income, that's great too.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, and which model did you choose? Because, newsletter, there's really just sort of two types of newsletters, which is would be well, I'm gonna quote Nicholas Cole here again, because he says that there's really just two successful newsletter models that can be monetized, which is one would be the sort of the information advantage expert style thought leader newsletter where you just elaborate on an idea or you can even just sort of write some opinion or whatever. It can go in different directions, but it's usually just can be actually short or longer or whatever. But it's just a very personal thing. And then there's this other type, which is curation style, right, where you find valuable information. It's often like tech, like for example, in the tech space, like this, I don't know, superhuman.ai newsletter, or there's a lot of newsletters that sort of go into that direction. Those are usually like this curation style newsletter where they just like you have different sections like the trendy tech news, and then you got a bunch of bullets and links and stuff. This is like this kind of a newsletter. Which direction did you go?
Definitely the former, which, is actionable, tactical things that I'm working on. I've been trying to also really not say it as like I'm an expert, in more of like hey, I've done this, I'm building this, I'm working on this. Here's what I'm doing to get to this point, and here's what's not working. So it's more like just sharing my experience and sharing my story of, hey, this week I was working on this, and I found that this was helpful. Maybe if you're trying to do this, you could try this too. So it's not even, I would say, as like a thought leader. It's more of like I'm working on this too, and I'm fumbling around. Yeah. It's almost like documenting and also providing nuggets there that are saying like, for instance, use this ChatGPT prompt if you're trying to figure out, an idea. And this is an elaborate prompt that I've used multiple times to help brainstorm different ideas for XYZ. So it's a combination of documenting storytelling and also tactical advice.
Okay, it's awesome. Man, we've been already 15 minutes on the show. It's we're over time.
Yeah, this has been great. This has been great, man.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed this conversation. Can you, we have to finish here, but I would like you to share when people want to reach out to you, how can they do that? What's your newsletter? How can we contact you?
Yeah, sure. So people can find me at Evan Kuterbach, Kuterbach. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting on LinkedIn about my entrepreneur and solopreneur journey. I also post my newsletter there, The Honest Hustle. So you can look that up on LinkedIn. It's also, you can subscribe to it from there as well if you want it to your inbox instead. But, feel free to follow Canyon Pickleball as well on my e-commerce brand. And if you're, looking for any type of, marketing tips and tricks, again, I always post that kind of stuff too on my LinkedIn. So yeah, it's been an awesome conversation. I'm excited to, hopefully maybe some of the listeners got a few nuggets, and yeah, feel free to connect if you're listening and you want to, chat.
Yes, for sure. It was actually packed with nuggets, with wisdom and experiences and AI tools and tips and tricks and stuff like that. So they should be appreciative. I am.
Yeah.
So
same here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Evan. And I wish you good luck with your company, with your endeavor and everything. And talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much, Roman.